So how did I go from Helpdesk to Cybersecurity Architect with no boot camps or college degrees? So glad you asked. In this video today, I'm gonna share my story. I'm gonna give you the step-by-step playbook that I took that took me from the Helpdesk to become the Senior Security Architect for the world's largest airline and eventually earning over $200,000 a year as a cybersecurity consultant. Are you ready for this? Let's go. Hey cyber heroes, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, I'm Boyd Cluis, an internationally recognized cybersecurity expert, and I help IT guys upgrade their jobs into a six-figure cybersecurity career. If you want to join me on this journey, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the red bell so that you're notified every time I drop new content, guaranteed to help you take your career to six figures and beyond in cybersecurity. All right, guys, so let's jump right in. I'm going to take you back to 2005 when I was a lot skinnier. At the University of North Texas, I enrolled there as a freshman on the track team. Shout out to the Mean Green Track Squad. I was a high jumper, triple jumper, and long jumper. Anyway, I went to school for accounting. I had no inkling that I was even interested in IT, so it never even occurred to me. Well, I went to University of North Essex. I was there for a couple years and then I failed out due to some personal circumstances. So I find myself in 2007 with no skills and needing a job. So what I did was I actually took a job at a copier company and I was working in accounts receivable and I was making $33,000 a year. And yeah, that wasn't a lot of money, especially I had a wife and kids and everything. It wasn't a lot of money. So I was working in the billing department in accounts receivable, doing billing reconciliation. There we go. I freaking hated it. It was a lot of work. The company was based in Dallas. So I live in Texas, right? But the headquarters was actually in New Jersey. So whenever a computer would break from one of my employees, coworkers or whatnot, they would literally have to box up the computer and ship it to New Jersey for them to fix it. I was like, okay. All right, but here's the challenge with that. When the person's computer was down and it was New Jersey, I had to do their work and I was not having that. So guys, if you look back to my video last week when I talked about getting promoted, one of the things that I told you is when you see problems, look for solutions. Don't just gripe about it. So I saw a problem. The problem was computers have to be shipped back to New Jersey and then I have to do all the work. Not happy with that at all. So what I did was I got on the Googles and I figured out how to repair the computers that were broken myself so they didn't have to get shipped back. I started, and that gave me the interest in IT. And then the iPhone came out and it was just on for there. I'm doing these computer repairs, still not getting paid for it, right? I'm also setting up users access to new printers whenever new employees were coming. I'm doing little troubleshooting work just by things that I'm reading on Google, and I'm liking this. So then you fast forward 3 years into doing this or so, the company decided to shut down operations and move operations to California. Me making $33,000 a year was not going to make it in California. Oh my goodness, not at all. I was laid off. Fortunately for me, when I was laid off, one of my coworkers, she knew I was interested in IT and she sent me this thing that's called Creative Ventures from CompTIA. So this foundation was actually providing free IT training for people that were laid off. And so I just so happened that I was selected as one of the people that could receive free training. So they gave me access to an online training program. It was all self-paced that eventually taught me the skills that I needed in order to get the A+ certification. And they also provided the voucher for that. So it was pretty cool. I ended up getting laid off from the job. I was unemployed, but within about 60 days or so, I was able to get the A+ certification. And then I was on cloud 9 because you know what they say, right? You get certifications and then you go get the job and then you go get the money. No, that's not how that worked. And so guys, I want y'all to understand this, like where my passion is when I talk about like these certifications and skills, because my entire business and everything that I've built is literally based on my experience. I don't fabricate nothing. I give it to you real. So I got this A+ certification, and I did exactly what you're doing right now. You're probably watching me on one screen, and then on the other screen, you're probably applying for jobs right now because you just got your certification. Yeah, as soon as I would submit those job applications and with my new certification, they were rejected. They were rejected. Rejected. And so now I knew it was like certifications don't help you land the job. So what I did was I had to rebrand myself. So what you need to do is you need to look at your resume and ask yourself, does this person on paper align with this position that I'm applying for? So if in my position, I was an accounts receivable person applying for tech support roles, and it did not line up. So here is a major key for you that you need to understand. Your experience is your experience, and you can tell it however you want to tell it. So what I did is I rebranded myself. I pulled that resume back out and I removed all accounts receivable information from my resume. And what I did was I replaced it with all the tech support work that I did in my accounts receivable job. So my job title on paper was customer service assistant support, something like that. So I updated my resume job title to tech support, which is true because in the company, I functioned in the role of tech support as I was fixing computers, removing viruses, installing patches, configuring printers, and software. And that's the information that I actually put on my resume. So boom, I start to get a lot more traction now because I have congruency with my certification, with my skill set and the jobs that I'm applying for. So I actually ended up going to Craigslist and applying for a junior network technician role. And I went and interviewed at the company and they were like, hey Boyd, you don't have the skills that we're looking for, but we like your attitude, so we're gonna hire you and we're gonna train you. And I was like, yes. This time I've been unemployed for about 90 days. I get my first offer in IT and it is $40,000. So I've already increased my income $7,000 in just a few months by landing my first IT job. Now keep in mind that A+ certification did absolutely nothing for me. It was the knowledge that I learned when I went through their actual training is what helped me get the job. So that is the first part. So now we're at 40,000. Okay guys, so the second part happened. So I'm working as this junior network technician for a company that is an MSP, which is managed service provider. They had about 40 different companies that they were providing IT services for, and I was the main technician. From the onset, it was a bit overwhelming, but eventually I learned to love it because I was able to learn so many new technologies across different business verticals that helped me become the man that I am today. So it was really cool, but it was a lot of hours. So as a junior network technician, I'm making 40K. I'm doing support, I'm removing viruses, I'm troubleshooting, I'm running cables in the ceiling, getting dirty. I'm getting the full IT gambit, like all the way around. And that was a really cool experience. And I used that as a launch pad to get to the next phase of my career. So I did that for a few years, and then I made the transition into server support. All right. So I went from accounting to tech support, and then I moved to server support. So I started working for a software company, and the software company was paying me $60,000 a year. So now I'm making even more money. And this is where things start to get a little interesting. So I'm at the software company, and I decide that, hey, I'm at this point where I'm making $60,000 now. I'm doing server troubleshooting and monitoring. I worked in the NOC, which is the Network Operating Center, and I worked overnights. And so while I'm working overnights, I am finding every resource I can online to study for new certifications, because I figure the more certs I can get, the more money I can make. And so that was the thought process that I had. So I started accumulating certifications left and right. But here's the deal. I didn't pay for these certifications, right? What I did was I brokered a deal with my company. I told them that I would study on my own to get the knowledge to pass the certification. I just need y'all to pay for the test. And so if you're taking notes, write this down: www.cbtnuggets.com. They are one of the IT training companies that I trust personally because they helped me pass so many certifications. I'm talking about CISSP, the Microsoft MCP, all that good stuff, right? So I had a membership with CBT Nuggets. I went through the training because my workload was very, very light. So I accumulate all of these certifications. I got CompTIA Network Plus, Security Plus, CompTIA Project Plus. I got Microsoft MCP. This is over a span over about 3 years. I got all these certifications. And so because I got these certifications, I started to submit my resume out trying to get to the next level. I wanted to be making $100,000 a year. I'm submitting these resumes. I got my experience now and I got all these certifications, but nothing was happening. What I did was, again, refer back to the video from last week when I talked about getting promoted, I figured I would go the route of promotion instead of exit. So I intentionally expressed my interest in cybersecurity to my leadership. So I had already got the cybersecurity certifications. Then I started doing risk assessments on our company. So I would look at how we were processing payment transactions, how we were processing data, how our servers were configured, and I put together a risk assessment list. And they actually found it very, very valuable. And what they did from that is actually created a security analyst position for me, and they gave me a raise. So at this time now, I'm at $76,000 a year. We're getting closer to the 100K mark, right? And that was really, really exciting for me. But here's the deal. At this time, I got a laundry list of certifications and I'm only making $76,000 a year. Now, keep in mind, I got A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, Project Plus, Microsoft MCP, Microsoft MTA, SolarWinds certification. That's like 8 certifications and I'm making $76,000 a year. Something's not right. Something's not right. But let me tell you when it all changed. All right, guys. Now, I know this story is interesting, but this is a really good time for you to click that subscribe button down there and like this video. Now let's get back to the story. Okay, so I'm making $76,000 a year working as a security analyst for a software company. And then something very interesting happens. Now, at this time, I'm still working nights. I'm still working nights in the NOC. And so I actually get a call from my manager and he asked me to come have a conversation with him during the day shift. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. Seems kind of interesting. But I did it anyway. And he asked me, he was like, hey Boyd, I need your help with this thing. Would you be willing to do it? What he was asking is if I was willing to help out with the cybersecurity assessment because the company was actually on the verge of failing it. And I was like, why? Why? I thought we were good. You know, I did that risk assessment. Anyway, he's like, go look over in the conference room and then come back and you tell me. I go over to the conference room and I have a look and I immediately see it. The guy that is running the security assessment for the company, he is in there and he is snoring dead sleep in front of the security auditor. Yeah, that really happened. So I was like, sure. I didn't know anything about this security assessment, but what I did know is I know how to study and how to consume knowledge. So one of the things that you guys have to understand is, like with everything that I'm telling y'all, all the certifications that I got, everything was self-done. I essentially curated my own curriculums and I became engulfed in this. Like this wasn't just a job for me, it was a career transformation. It was a way for me to provide for my life. I didn't know anything else outside of IT that was gonna get me to the level of income to provide for my family. So I was serious about it. So when they gave me this opportunity, I immediately went over to the PCI security standards website and I downloaded the security framework because this assessment that we're talking about was the PCI DSS assessment and I had no idea what that was. So this is around 2014. I had no idea what it was. So I downloaded the standard. I went home over the weekend. I just engulfed myself in it. Like, what do these requirements mean? What's expected from the company? And then I eventually took over the assessment and helped the company pass. The auditors were like, hey man, you could actually be really good at this. And I'm like, but I don't want to do what you're doing because like you're asking me questions and interviewing and I'm showing you all this stuff, but I get to do all the technical stuff. I get to support servers. I get to do patch management, all the technical stuff. And I was like, so I'm just curious, so how much you guys making? He was like, I got 150,000. I was like, what? Okay, clearly I'm in the wrong space. So after I helped the company complete that assessment, I had a whole different vision for my career and what it was that I was going to do. So I convinced the company to send me to PCI training. I went to the training, I aced it, established some really good relationships with people at the PCI Council. And so now I am a certified PCI guy that has been through some assessments. I got experience. I am marketable. I took immediate action on that. So I started doing my research online and I started seeing how many PCI jobs were available and what the skill sets that were required for them. And I was like, I can do this. And then that's when the strangest thing happened. I actually ended up getting a call from American Airlines for a position. Now this was actually a 6-figure role, but it was for vulnerability management. At this time, I had the company pay for my CISSP. So I had the PCIP certification, which is payment card industry, and I had the CISSP. I went to American Airlines, I interviewed, I smashed this role, and they still don't hire me. At this time, I probably have like 10 certifications, and they still did not give me the job. And like, I was crushed from it. I was crushed. Here I am, still have all these certifications, and I'm trying to get to 100,000. I'm stuck at 76. It was frustrating. It was very, very frustrating, but I didn't give up. What I did was I decided to dig deeper. I started to engulf myself even more in the PCI DSS. I started joining forums. I started going to events. I realized like this was going to be my way out. Okay, so I didn't get the job at American Airlines, but that didn't stop me. So I went back to the software company and I buckled down even harder on the PCI DSS framework, helping my company get through the next assessment. Also redesigning our network so that we could process payments even more securely, implementing new ideas to increase security. So I had a really good time working there while gaining some practical experience, even though I was still only making $76,000 a year. 18 months later, I get a phone call again from American Airlines to interview, but this time, instead of a vulnerability management position, it is for a senior security architect role. I interviewed, and I aced it. Aced the interview. They asked me some questions about the PCI DSS requirements. I explained in great detail my knowledge of what I've done, and they were blown away and they offered me the job on the spot. So at this point in time, my compensation package included flying free around the world. It was pretty cool. $150,000. So I go from $76,000 to $150,000. I didn't add any more certifications. I didn't do anything. What I did was I focused on mastering the PCI DSS framework because I knew the impact that this framework would have, because if companies don't comply and they get breached and they're found to be non-compliant, there could be fines of millions of dollars. So it only made sense. That was my niche. I landed the job at American Airlines and I immediately began diving in, and it was great. So I became an internal consultant. I helped redesign some of your favorite apps that you might use at American Airlines, giving my input around security and compliance. I got to fly around the world to different locations to advise on physical security, network security, to make sure that we were meeting PCI DSS requirements. So I'm talking about, I got to go to South America. I was able to go to Australia. I was able to go to Italy. I went into so many locations absolutely free because the standard is not just a US-based thing. It is an international standard for any company that stores, processes, or transmits credit card data. So now I'm $150,000 and I am loving my job, doing an internal consulting as the senior security architect for the world's largest airline. I did that for about 3 years. And after about 3 years making connections around the world, a consulting company approached me at a conference that I was at, and they were like, hey man, we've heard that you've been doing good things in the PCI space and we would love for you to come work for us. I was like, really? So what they were wanting me to do was come become a external auditor at PCI QSA, which is Qualified Security Assessor. When companies have to go through a PCI assessment, they have to engage with a company to perform the security audit for them. I had been working at American Airlines in the software company as an internal employee, preparing for the auditors to come. So now I was switching sides. I was going to become the auditor. So I accepted it. It was really cool. Really cool. I was able to travel the world. I was able to go to India, Ireland. Oh my goodness. I could, man, just all over the world performing security assessments. Absolutely free, flying first class in the process. Again, I didn't have to add any more certifications, no college degree, none of that. And this time, my salary is around $200,000 a year. So let's put this into context. The way my salary looked, I had a base salary of $180,000. Plus I had bonuses that were based on company initiatives and whatnot. And so my annual compensation rounded out about $200,000 every year. That's what I did before I decided to quit. Yes, I quit a $200,000 job so that I could help people just like you watching this video get to the end part of my career where you're making the money in the PCI space, not doing the help desk work, not doing the server support, working overnight for 70 grand, but helping people bypass that part to go into six-figure careers as payment security specialist. And by the way, if you want to learn the skills that can help you become a payment security specialist, you know what to do. Click the link in the description or go over to boydclewis.com/GRC. Apply to join the Baxter Clewis Training Academy, and I would be glad to lead you, teach you the skills, and help you think like a cybersecurity specialist so that you can change your life and make the money that you really deserve. So guys, question for you. Did you realize that you can make over $200,000 a year without a college degree or skills like hacking or coding? Did you know that? Let me know down in the comments. Well guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you found some value from my story. And remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel so that you're notified whenever I drop new content guaranteed to help you take your career to the next level and beyond in cybersecurity. I'll see you guys on the next one.